What's up, everybody? My name is Matt. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, folks, we got a lot of stuff to talk about regarding Terra Luna Classic. And as always, folks, if you guys are new, you guys know what to do. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel, guys, because I keep you in the loop every single day. I talk about Terra Luna Classic, Shiba Inu, and all that stuff you guys are interested in. So without further ado, let's get right into it, folks. So what we are seeing here over the past 24 hours or so with Terra Luna is a little rough. And I think most people probably saw something like this coming, and I actually predicted this myself in one of my previous videos. But the general idea with any kind of surge like this, especially one that is so strongly motivated by the community, is the fact that it's going to have some level of pullback. And again, you guys can see that we surge all the way up to right around 58 here on the 8th, and then we get a little bit of consolidation here down in the low 50s before having a tiny bit of a free fall here back down into the low 40s. Now again, that is something that I think most people expected and kind of saw coming, because really, folks, the main reason behind this sort of pump is because a lot of people saw Terra Luna Classic as a good opportunity to jump into in hopes of reaping some quick gains. Now the problem with that is, like any token out there, you're not likely going to see those type of gains when most people have already heard about it. Your goal is to get into these things before people hear about it. And unfortunately, Terra Luna happens to make the news cycle. People continue to buy it, and then once that news starts to fizzle off, then people decide to jump ship. And unfortunately, that is what happened with Terra Luna. Now, does that mean Terra Luna will not go up more in the future? Of course not. Because remember, we want to buy when people are not talking about it, and we want to sell when people are talking about it. That's kind of crypto 101 or stock 101 or any asset out there. So, it's not exclusive to Terra Luna. What I think most people would probably be wise in doing is trying to find when Terra Luna Classic is not in the news and is not something people are viewing as a buy signal. Like now at 44, you could probably find a million FUD articles online if you wanted to, of people talking about how it's going back down to zero forever and yada yada, which we know probably isn't going to happen. But you could find a bunch of articles like that, and you would probably be successful if every time there was a 17% crash on the day like this, you bought in. So that's kind of my general consensus, at least, on what's going on with the price right now. And in terms of some technical indicators here, we're going to get to that in a second. But before we do, guys, make sure to check out the Patreon, folks, down below in the description so you guys could up your crypto game to the next level. You guys can see every single time I buy or sell an NFT on here, as well as NFT whitelist access on my Discord, my crypto newsletter where I tell you guys my thoughts on the current crypto and NFT market, my weekly crypto and NFT report, crypto trade signals, so every time I buy or sell a crypto, you guys will know, access to my private Discord, direct access to me via DM, and a free altcoin checklist for only $10 a month, guys. To be honest with you, I think it is a steal. Link down below in the description. So when we talk a little bit about technical indicators, I know, there's unfortunately not a whole lot that you can do regarding technical indicators because, they're technical indicators for something that's largely driven by the community. That's a little tough to do sometimes, but again, it can be done, and I do think that that is probably, worth looking into from time to time, especially with an asset like this. So when we talk a little bit about technical indicators, one of the main things that I want to show you guys, of course, is the head and shoulders pattern. So here is an example of what something like this would look like, and of course, we will find a larger image here, but the basic idea is that we have a neckline here, and we have a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. And then, of course, you do have, some information here about where you would see an entry. So you have your, again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then a little bit of a fall down. So what the basic idea behind something like this is, if we are to look at Terra Luna and kind of get a gauge here, what this is making, at least from my attempt at eyeballing this, and things never organized properly. This is never going to match one of these patterns 100%, but me just eyeballing this, am kind of seeing a left shoulder here, a middle shoulder here, and perhaps a right shoulder here. Now, if this happens, obviously that probably wouldn't be ideal because you would be likely to see some level of dip after. So again, this is an inverse head and shoulder, and you could see how this works in the opposite, and that leads to a bullish move because it challenges that neckline multiple multiple times. So when you look at a regular Head and Shoulders, obviously, you are seeing the opposite here. You are seeing it sort of falling by the neckline multiple times, and eventually it will fall through. And, that sucks, but, that does open up the opportunity in the future for some level of positive move up. And again, here's another example of how something like this would work. Have our shoulder, our head, our right shoulder, and then a little bit of bear. So when talking a little bit about the possibility of Luna Classic being bearish, well, I think it really depends on whether or not we are able to get past the, give or take 46, 47-ish spot. Because if that is the case, if we are able to get somewhere past this line, then that is officially no longer a right shoulder. And we work some way up here and probably have a good move up. Now, unfortunately, if we do not succeed in passing this sort of line here, if we unfortunately are met with some resistance at this area, we would have officially made the right shoulder. And again, that unfortunately will create this little neckline here, which is very susceptible, of course, to some bearish move and obviously falling through in kind of a bearish way. Now, will it be this cataclysmic of a drop? Probably not. And again, things don't always respond to technical indicators. So, you can't always make that your life's mission to read every technical indicator, but that's just a rough idea. Then when we take a look at the relative strength index, you guys can see, of course, that we have a little bit of overexpending here on the 8th, which obviously does lead us to some level of pullback. But then right again after the pullback, you guys can see we basically free fall all the way down to around 37. And of course, when that does happen, we are very much near the bottom of the RXI, almost a little oversold, not quite, but almost a little oversold. So then we head back near towards the middle, and it looks like things are finally starting to level off right now. So, very possible again to head around the 43, 44 kind of mark. But what I don't want to see again is sort of that rounding. What we want to avoid is, again, that rounding, because rounding tends not to be good, especially if you're talking about an asset working its way up. Whenever it's making a curve, a round curve, that tends not to be good. So again, when that happens, and you could look at any other pattern, if you were to talk about, say, a cup and handle pattern, you have kind of the same thing. You have your basic cup, you have your basic handle, then you have your bullish move up. So that tends to be a good thing, obviously, because you are rounding the bottom. But then when you round the top, say you are looking at an inverse cup and handle, something like this, same kind of thing with the Head and Shoulders pattern, you tend to have sort of this like neckline here where you typically will work down and fall below. So again, that kind of move is something we are trying to avoid. And the problem is we are seeing in multiple instances, we have this rounding here, rounding at the top, a little bit of, way back up to sort of try to get back to where we were. And unfortunately, this tends not to succeed sometimes, and then heading back down. So that is the problem, I think, right now with Terra Luna Classic. Of course, technical analysis is not the be-all, end-all. Obviously, we want to be in the loop with current news and things like that. But, that's not going to be the be-all, end-all. It's just a matter of a little bit of technical analysis that sometimes can make things seem a little bit problematic. When we take a look at the overall market cap right now, $2.6 billion, which is still very, very good. And when we compare that with things on the entire market, that's obviously a good deal away from Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are actually having very, very strong days. But mind you, Terra Luna Classic did have some very, very good days here, while Bitcoin and Ethereum were not. So, it really doesn't rely very much on what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing. Those two things seem to be very, very unrelated these days. And that can feel a little bit liberating sometimes, especially when you're not reliant on whether or not Bitcoin is doing well on CNBC or whatever. So it's nice to see when Terra Luna Classic kind of has a mind of its own. I do always like to see that. But unfortunately, you are going to inevitably watch it struggle in a row of green like this when Terra Luna Classic had its row of green probably a week or two before. So that's just my basic thoughts on what's going on right now. Again, everything obviously is subject to change, but I truly do hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more daily Terra Luna Classic videos. By the way, guys, join the free Discord down below in the description, guys. It is free. I truly do think you guys will enjoy it. It is right above my Patreon. And of course, if you guys would like to take your stuff to the next level, guys, you always check out the Patreon with the link down below in the description, folks. Again, only $10 a month. I really do think you guys will enjoy it. That being said, my name is Sam. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.